The third chapter begins with Arjuna wanting to know what is actually better for him. As we said yesterday, Arjuna represents the perfect disciple and Krishna represents the perfect spiritual master. Arjuna is not trying to get his confusion removed by going to some ordinary entity, but he is going to the perfect personality, the personality of Godhead, for clarification about his confusion. So Krishna has been trying to tell Arjuna that he has to do his duty. And in this third chapter again, we will see that again and again Krishna is pointing out, do your duty. Don't just artificially withdraw from the material world. Don't just become a false pretender. Rather, stay where you are, but learn how one must learn to act for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So Arjuna begins by saying, why do you want me to engage in this ghastly warfare? Because Arjuna is opposed to this fight on the grounds that we discussed yesterday. So he wants to know what is better. Is it better that he just goes to a secluded place? Or should he work? Should he engage in this battle? Or should one give up fruitive work? Because people misunderstand Krishna consciousness to mean withdraw to a secluded place. This is misunderstood. Sometimes people think that if you become spiritual, that means you have to give up the society, you have to give up everything, you just have to go to a secluded place. So Arjuna is trying to seek clarification on this point as to what is the proper understanding of spiritual instruction. Does it mean that he has to withdraw to a secluded place? Or does it mean that he has to perform actions? What is actually right? So Krishna is being requested by Arjuna, who is completely bewildered as to what he should do. So Krishna explains that there are two types of men. One who try to understand through the process of Samkhya Yoga, and the other is through the process of Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga. And in verses 4 to 6, Krishna is pointing out that there is no point in just refraining the senses, but rather one must learn to use the senses in a superior engagement. The senses, as we know, are by nature very, very active. The senses cannot be idle. So we have to learn how to engage the senses. For example, Krishna says in the 4th chapter, not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain purification. There must be the purification of the heart. Unless the heart is purified, one cannot give up the execution of sinful activities. From the very beginning, one is brought up in a society where he is led to believe that engaging the senses and sense enjoyment is what constitutes the perfection of existence. But Krishna is pointing out in this 3rd chapter, especially in the verses 4 to 6, that the senses must be engaged in some superior activity. Otherwise, one is just actually a pretender. One may pretend as if he's a big spiritualist, but actually the mind is just dwelling on activities of sense enjoyment. Then one is considered to be a pretender. For example, these days in society, there's so many so-called religionists, but they are not considered to be genuine because they're not following the laws of God as they're coming down in disciplic succession strictly, and because the mind is dwelling on sense objects. As long as the mind dwells on sense objects, one cannot go back to the kingdom of God. One cannot achieve the goal of life. In the 6th chapter, Dhyana Yoga, there will be a very thorough discussion of the importance of controlling the mind and how the uncontrolled mind is a cause of bondage and the controlled mind is a cause of liberation. So Krishna is pointing out that one should not be a pretender. one should not delude oneself and be a pretender. Rather, one must learn to engage the senses in something superior.